Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
Bada bing, bada boom. Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, my buddy James. Just a couple dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 73. We are going to kick things off with Name That Stadium. Then we're going to hit the news from this past week. After that, we will cover our Week 13 power rankings and game picks. And last but not least, we'll do our question of the week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It is going good, man. We are rolling 73 episodes strong, man. Just kicking ass, another week, making it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's do Name That Stadium. So, for anybody who's watching, this is the part of the show where, as you can see, James is out there traveling the country. Every week, he's got a new stadium in his background. During the regular season, like right now, typically it's a stadium for a home team that's got a game this weekend. We're just asking if you think you know what stadium that is. Shoot us a comment with the answer. If you're the first person to get it right, we'll give you a shout out next week's show. James, last week, if I'm not mistaken, you were out at Lambeau, correct?
Correct.
And we do have a winner from last week. Uh, if you would like to share the winner, since it's from your side of the country here, I'll let you give her the little pat on the back.
Oh, there was a winner? I didn't realize that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
There's no winner. No,
There's
it was Tori. She guessed Lambo. She sitting next to me, looks at me, she's like, "Oh, you're at Lambo." And I was
That's
like,
good, man. I was wondering, did you just like feed it to her on the silver platter, or did she actually figure it out?
no, she actually figured it out, which I was surprised. I tried to do it kind of clandestine because sometimes she's sitting next to me when I'm loading stuff. So like I'll kind of like hide my computer and pick the picture, search it, and find it and load it. But did a pretty good job.
Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, congrats to Tori. I'm glad it was a legit win. And yeah, what was the inspiration? Would you just you think it was like the game of the week, or I don't know, what were you thinking?
I thought it was one of the more interesting games of the week. I think I already had Lambo this year, which I realized after the fact. Like I realized like a couple days later, I was like, oh shit, I think I already did Lambo. But yeah, it was what I thought was the game of the week.
Ah, gotcha. Hey, it's all good, man. Nothing wrong with a retread, especially when it's the Packers. They're kicking ass. Okay, so let's move it over and let's do our recap of the past week. So looking at the news, we got more injuries, and we'll see where some of them shake out because some of these guys could potentially play. But I saw, to start, Melvin Gordon, he's doubtful with a hip injury, opening up the door for Javonte Williams. It looks like, they're already making comments him getting the bulk of the workload, which I'm excited to see. I think he's had a pretty good year as a rookie, kind of in his like part-time role as they've been sharing time here. Jalen Hurts, questionable with an ankle. That's a pretty big one. And so I suspect he's going to play, but I guess we'll see. And um, they traded for Minshew, didn't they?
Yeah, I was wondering that. I think they
So
did, but I don't think he's their backup.
you think he's the three?
I think he's the three.
Okay.
Um, I was just thinking of that, and I was like, what is their depth chart? Because I thought there
Yeah.
was behind her. Nope, it is Minshew.
Okay. Because honestly, I thought, Minshew, he was mobile enough that I could see them keeping some consistency with that playbook. I remember when they made that trade, and I thought, yeah, it kind of makes sense if Hurts is the guy. Um, All right, so then next up we got Taysom Hill, another quarterback. He injured his finger. Looks like his is pretty serious, likely to go on IR at least short term. No,
No,
no, I thought.
he's what I've read is he's going to play through it. Source: New Orleans Saints QB Taysom Hill to try to play through finger injury.
Oh wow, man, because I just read it this morning that he was likely to have surgery.
That was at uh, that was like a half hour ago that was
Holy
posted.
cow! Wow, and I mean it's on its throwing hand too, right?
Yeah.
Man,
Uh,
that's just hard ass. But I mean, I don't know, man. He did just throw 4 picks last weekend, right? So or
Yeah,
uh,
last night.
last night. Sorry, last weekend, last night. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he needs to have the surgery. But no, I mean, hey, I was excited to see him play. I feel like you're getting a mixed bag with Taysom Hill. I like him in the gadget role, but they've got so many injuries that they kind of need him. And Trevor Simeon just, unfortunately didn't get it done, even though those first couple games graded out good, they were still losing. And so I think just ultimately the pressure was there that, something had to give. But um, continuing the quarterback news, looks like Daniel Jones is going to be out with a neck injury. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw Mike Glennon is going to get the start for the Giants, which is
Yeah,
just like, wow, that guy's still floating around in the league.
I think that's who it was. Like that sounds familiar. I didn't it just didn't register who it actually was. So like you're like he's still floating around. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's Mike Glennon.
Okay. I mean, hey, good for him. I'm just surprised. That's all. I'm just surprised. But, I mean, hey, that's good. I'm not a professional evaluator. I just, you know, and hey, backup is different than starter. And so I don't think anybody's expecting him to be like a long-term answer. Um, and then the last one I saw was OBJ. Looks like he's questionable with a hip injury. And so we'll see what happens there. Those are just kind of like the more fresh ones. Separate from that, but under the category still, we've got Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Looks like they're going to be a game time decision yet again. But honestly, there's no need to rush them back. They're kicking ass. They're winning games. Colt McCoy, keeping that ship afloat. And they're like 9-2. So, no reason to rock the boat there, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they have a relatively easy game this week against Chicago. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, don't rush it. Don't rush it back. I mean, it's in Chicago, but still it's Chicago, so, yeah. All right, so then the next piece I had, which you brought up a little bit last week, is the Antonio Brown situation, which now also includes Mike Edwards, and I believe there was a free agent player also tied into this. And
yeah, Jake
you had
Robinson, something like that.
okay, thank you. Yeah,
John
no,
Frank, John Franklin.
okay, yeah, and you had a pretty good rundown of it last week, but basically there was like some misrepresentation of their vaccination status with COVID. Um, and I
Misrepresentation. The NFL investigated and found that they gave fake vaccination cards.
so yeah, so
That's not a misrepresentation.
well, like I said, you have more of the story than I do, so I was just teeing it up for you, James. But so tell me about it because now what's the deal? AB's getting a suspension, or what's happening here?
So AB, all three of them were suspended for 3 games. Um, Bruce Arians is saying that there's probably more fake vaccination cards out there. It's just because like AB had asked his personal chef to find if to buy him or to acquire fake vaccine cards for him and his girlfriend, and then he didn't end up doing it. And AB had the vaccination cards, and his girlfriend told his personal chef that they had bought them for like $500 or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then AB didn't pay his personal chef for services, and his personal chef's like, you know what? You don't want to fucking pay me? Fuck you. Guess what, guys? AB has a fake vaccine card, and everyone's like, oh no, blah blah blah. And then the NFL investigated and was like, yep, that's definitely fake. And
Jeez.
Arians is saying that there's probably more out there. Like something like he said something like, I hope they don't stop looking.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Hey, if you're gonna take down one of my guys, take down some other team's guys,
Yeah,
or
because
whatever. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's just good intention of if they're lying, let's catch them. because if you're not vaccinated, we got to know so people don't get sick.
Yeah, exactly. I thought 3 games was a light suspension for it anyways, because I mean, you think about it, you have completely separate protocols for vaccinated versus non-vaccinated players, and so the fake vaccine card allowed him. Well, not only is it a federal crime, which should be, I thought the NFL minimum fine or minimum suspension for what's the term I'm looking for? Conduct was 4 games. Hell, Brady got 4 games for not cooperating with the NFL, and AB only gets 3.
Well, in AB, it's not like he's a first-time offender either.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought it was a really, really light fine. And there's a lot of chatter out there that Arizona is going to cut AB because basically when they signed him last year, you remember Arians didn't want him, but because Brady did,
Yeah.
they signed him. But they said he messes up once, he's out of here. And well, he messed up. Let's see if you're a man of your word.
Okay. Yeah, and he did have a pretty nice little run in the playoffs last year, and so I know that got everybody excited. But this year it's like back to train wreck Antonio Brown, man. So if you're not going to get with the program, you got to get out. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't like it. He's a Central Michigan guy. I wish he would do better than this, but it is what it is. So
So apparently, though, the the tidbit that I find interesting is like Arians is saying, oh, maybe there's more fake ones out there, but I think it was like 95% of the league's vaccinated.
okay,
80% of those players that are vaccinated got their vaccines from the team or in
okay.
the team facilities. So there's a small portion of the vaccinated players that theoretically could have fake vaccine cards, and it's just how many of those.
So
I'm
yeah,
not saying, I'm not
if they
saying
were
that
gonna
that
if they
there's
were gonna audit, you would go to just that group and
exactly.
audit that group because you're trusting anything done by the team was done legit.
Exactly.
I gotcha. Well, hey, let's see how it shakes out here for these guys. But yeah, I agree with you. It seems like it should be a bigger punishment, at least for Antonio Brown, because he's been in trouble before. So, but all right. What else? Anything else news-wise that you picked up on?
There's one little thing, and it's good. Let's end with a little bit of a feel good story, and it comes from your backyard.
Oh, okay.
So apparently the men's basketball team at Notre Dame Prep
Oh, yeah.
was creating a group text message for the team, and they put one number in wrong, like it was like one digit off, and it happened to be Murphy Bunting from the Buccaneers. So Murphy Bunting was playing along with it and everything, and then ended up Brady and the Bucks and a bunch of Buccaneers did a video chat with the basketball team from Notre Dame Prep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I saw that in the news. And yeah, hey man, go Irish, dude. Yeah, they're just right down the street, sort of down the street, but yeah, And I don't know, if you might not remember this, but I did 1 year at Notre Dame Prep in high school. So, oh yeah.
I couldn't remember if I couldn't remember if it was 1 year at Notre Dame Prep or if it was 3 years at Notre Dame Prep. Like I knew it was like 1 and 3, but I couldn't remember which one was which.
Just the one there my sophomore year, and then the rest was back at Adams. So, oh yeah, but that's cool. That's nice when that stuff happens. Yeah, that's a good feel good story, man. I like that you sprinkled that in there. Awesome. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get to the main event, James. Week 13 power rankings. I'm pulling up my spreadsheet, and I'm just going to tell you, man, for some of my stuff, some of my notes, whether it's the power rankings or when we get to the game picks, it's kind of same thing as last week. I did a lot sort of exclusively off of NFL.com articles, things that I read. In most weeks, I'm just like hitting all sorts of sites: ESPN, Walter Football, frickin' Pro Football Focus, whatever. But it seems like whatever reason this last 2 weeks, it's been almost all NFL.com. And so, I'm going to just pump them with the credit now before we jump into it. So, power rankings. Why don't you give me 1 through 5, man?
All right, so my number one, Cardinals. They didn't play. Cardinals are. I mean, they stayed the same. They didn't play. I mean, they're right now looking like the best team in the league. They've been dominating previous weeks, like even weeks where they haven't had their starting quarterback, and they've been dominant. They've had dominant wins.
Yeah.
The only issue is that hurts Kyler's MVP chances, which I thought he had a solid chance the way they were playing before he got hurt. But since they continued it, I don't know if you can consider him an MVP now.
I got you. Yeah, it dilutes it because they're winning without him. I got you.
Yeah. At number 2, I have the Buccaneers. They were at number 2 last week. Not as they didn't have the most impressive win this past week against the Colts.
It was on the road though.
It was on the road, but I mean, they had to come back. I think they were down 24-0 or 24-7, something like that.
That's right, man. Yeah, they were down big, and then they rallied back because I remember thinking, "Oh man, Indy's got this in the bag," and then it totally flipped.
Exactly, and so it still gives me a little bit of concerns about them. That defense is not what it was last year. I mean, yeah, they have some injured players, but it's not coming together as I thought it would from
as the season's gone on. Yeah, I got you.
At number 3, I have the Bills. The Bills bumped up 1 spot this week. I mean, they beat New Orleans, which isn't that impressive. The most impressive part about it is the fact that it was 31-6. It was a dominant performance, and the teams that were ahead of them lost, so they got a bump up. I have the Packers at 4. They bumped up 2 spots. I was impressed with how they played against the Rams. I was shocked that the Rams, towards the end of the game, the Rams kind of came back and made it a game. But the game before that wasn't a game, and it was fairly dominant performance by the Packers up until the end of the game. So they got 2-spot jump. Biggest jump of the week is I took the Patriots up 7 spots to number 5.
Nice, man.
This, I've been holding out in the Patriots, but if you look at it, they just smoked the Titans. I mean, just completely smoked them. I wasn't surprised. I think I even picked them last week to win, but it's just I did not think it would be that dominant of a performance as they did.
36-13. Yeah.
Exactly. So they moved up 7 spots to number 5.
Nice. Well, that's cool. So on my side here, I tell you what, man, this was I don't know, strange. I don't know how I would term it, but my 1 through 6 had no change, and I'll just walk you through it real quick. But I had Arizona at 1. Obviously, they were on a bye. They're still my top dog. I had Green Bay at 2, and they had a solid win, so obviously they were staying at 2. At number 3, I got the Rams, so they lost, but they lost to my number 2. And when I look at the record and I look at the teams below them, Tampa Bay, New England, Buffalo, I'm still kind of thinking I like them a little bit more. And so I kept them at 3. And then because of that, my next 3 won: Tampa Bay, New England, Buffalo, but there was nowhere for them to move up to. And I just didn't feel like there was enough in any of these games to say, oh, I'm going to drop this team in favor of that team, even though they had the win and this and that. And it's all good, but it just, it was interesting. I think this is probably the first time ever I've had 6 straight just stay locked in like this. And it's kind of cool. So, I'm happy about that. But yeah, so after the Rams, Tampa Bay, then I got the Patriots, and, I got Buffalo at 6. They were my top 6 locked in, but I'll go back to you 6 through 10.
At 6, I have the Chargers. They dropped 3 spots. I probably should have dropped them a little bit further after losing to Denver. this past week.
It's a divisional game, you know.
Exactly. It's a divisional game. Plus, like what happened around them, it didn't make sense to really move them down further because I couldn't make a solid case for the teams behind any teams really further back to jump up further than they were. At 7, I have the Cowboys. I dropped them down 2 spots. It was a dismal performance against the Raiders. Yeah, it went to overtime, but that game should not have been that close. Dallas should
No.
have dominated that game. The defense in Dallas looked like shit against the Raiders, and they lost the game. They dropped down 2 spots. The Rams, after losing to Green Bay, this is kind of like I didn't drop them because of the loss. I dropped them because I moved New England up so high.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So they it's just a 1 spot drop, but it's just because New England jumped into my top 5, jumped ahead of them the way New England's playing. I thought it was appropriate to move them up ahead of these teams here. The Ravens, they stayed at 9. Yeah, they lost. I'm sorry. Yeah, they won last week, but they beat the Browns. The Browns are kind of in disarray right now, and it was what was it, 16-10 or
Yeah,
20?
Lamar had 4 picks. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a weird game.
exactly. They looked really, really shaky in the game, and they barely eked out a win over a team that's in disarray. At 10, I have the Bengals. The Bengals beat Pittsburgh 41-10. Yeah, it was a dominant performance, but I have Pittsburgh so far down on my power rankings that it really didn't justify moving the Bengals anywhere from 10 because, I mean, it was even though I picked Pittsburgh, I talked myself into it as I was talking about the game type of thing versus I actually thought it was going to happen. And I mean, what happened is what should have happened in the game.
Yeah, no, I remember when you made that pick, I was shocked. But, you know, sometimes you just feel like you got to get a little bit spicy. I've been there. I understand it. So yeah, on my side, I got Buffalo at 6. We already covered them a little bit. At 7, I got the Ravens. I moved them up 3 spots. And listen, you know, I hear what you're saying. That was a weird kind of win over Cleveland. And Cleveland definitely is sort of like flailing right now. But man, I kind of had to pause and say, fuck, you know, Baltimore's sitting at 8-4 now. Um, I'm sorry, 8-3 now. And, you know, they're not playing the prettiest football, but they're winning. And so I just thought, okay, this is my chance. I'm gonna bump them up a couple spots, and it's just where I felt good about them. But at 8, I got Kansas City. They didn't have a game. They stayed put. At 9, I've got Tennessee. I dropped them down 2 spots, and I was hesitant to put them below Kansas City because they did beat them earlier in the year, and they beat them pretty badly. I mean, they just like spanked them. The problem is it's like we've got 2 totally different teams now. Kansas City has like since found their mojo, and Tennessee is like starting to kind of fall apart. They got the Derrick Henry injury, and just things aren't really going the way that they need to go for them. And so I thought, you know, kind of based on that, looking at it today, I feel like if those teams played again, Kansas City would have the upper hand. And so I was comfortable letting the board kind of work out that way. And then at 10, I got Dallas. I dropped them down 1 spot. I definitely wasn't expecting that loss. They still have a ton of potential, but I am nervous about them. You know, and I had them high on the board. I don't know. I think I had them as high as 6, maybe even higher than that. But, you know, you had a couple weeks ago against Kansas City where they couldn't get the offense going. And then you got this past week where the defense just couldn't freaking stop them. And, you know, last night, you know, it looked like, oh, hey, you know, everything I read, I watched some of the game and, you know, I read, oh, hey, you know, Dallas got it back and this and that. I'm not so sure from what I saw and what I read that it really was about them getting it back. Or, you know, it might have been something to do with New Orleans having some struggles. But either way, they got the win last night, and that's great. Um, this team still got a ton of potential, man, but they got to be more consistent. They started the year on fire. Things have gotten a little bit rocky. We just need to see them dial it in again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, the thing about the game last night, like New Orleans had like half its team up, not really half its team, but I mean, no Kamara. I mean, they don't have. They were
Valid, totally valid. Tons of
missing a
injuries.
couple defensive players, so I mean, it wasn't it's not a fair representation of what New Orleans actually is. If New Orleans was full strength and the game ended up like it would, I would give them more credit, give Dallas
Yeah,
more credit.
cool. Thank you. All right, man. Back to you, 11 through 15.
All right, at 11, I have the Colts. I dropped them down 3 spots. The Colts are frustrating to me because I, you see Carson Wentz. One series he plays like the year that was it 16 when he was dominant before he got injured. The next series he's playing like Carson Wentz of last year. And which Carson Wentz is the real one is is debatable. And
Yeah.
I like the Colts. I like it when like they get the running game going and they stick to the running game and they're great. Last week against Tampa Bay, like Jonathan Taylor didn't touch the ball until like 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter last week. And what the fuck?
Yeah,
You're up big.
that's a weird one because, there were a lot of people talking going into it about how Tampa Bay's great on run defense. And I was talking about, the whole MVP question of the week, does Jonathan Taylor have a shot at that? And that was like the test. It's like, hey, if he can carve up that defense, then it's going to be a lot more respectable. And it just makes you wonder, did Frank Reich see that and just be like, oh, we're going to zig when they zag and we're just not even going to run it? Like, I don't know, man.
But they were running the ball in the first half and they were up big, and then the second half comes around and he all of a sudden they're up big and he's not even getting the ball.
Yeah, that's messed up. I'm not sure.
So that's more the reason why I dropped them 3 spots. It's play calling is questionable there, and that's hurting the team a lot.
Okay.
At number 12, I have the 49ers. Every time I say the 49ers have to drop, the 49ers have to drop, they go out and they fucking win. Like this past week, I don't even remember who they beat this past week.
Minnesota.
Minnesota, which I mean, but they went on one, and it's like their first home win, and like everything was stacked against them, and they go out and win. So it's like fuck, I can't drop them, or so. And then what happened around them? I guess they move up a spot. At 13, I have Tennessee. They dropped down 2 spots. You said everything about Tennessee. It's like the team. It's it's frustrating. They should have the division locked up by now. They have 2 game. They've won both games against the Colts, but they're with Derrick Henry injury, and it's kind of starting to rear its ugly head, and they're getting more injuries. So the team, like AJ Brown was out, Julio's injured, and I think he's still out. So it's like this Tennessee team should be doing much better than they did. Plus they lost to New England, and they were pretty much dominated in that game. So they dropped down 2 spots. 14 and 15 stayed the same. I have the Browns at 14. I didn't drop them for losing to Baltimore. Number one, because Baltimore was ranked. Have Baltimore so a little bit ahead of them. But number two, because it was a competitive game. It shouldn't have been. The defense looked good, but the Browns are that team's kind of in disarray a little bit with injuries. Baker being injured, they'd be better off if Baker sat this week or sat a couple games to get a little bit healthy and then go for the playoff push, because I think the injured Baker playing injured is hurting the team a little bit.
I got you.
At 15, I have the Chiefs. They were 15 last week. They were on bye, so they stayed at 15.
Gotcha. All right. On my side, I got Cincy at 11. I moved them up 3 spots. And when I look at this group here, I feel like there's a lot of teams that are sort of interchangeable. It's kind of like a "what have you done for me lately" sort of thing. And Cincy right now is rising to the top of this group. And they've been here before and they've kind of fallen down and now they're back up. But at 12, I've got Cleveland. I dropped them down 1 spot. And, it was just disappointing that Lamar had 4 picks, or he threw 4 picks, and Cleveland couldn't capitalize on that. And so I was tempted to drop them further. I just, it's this group. It's just how I felt about this group. At 13, I got Indianapolis. Tough loss, especially since it was at home, and they did have that big lead early on against Tampa Bay. I still like them down the stretch, but like you said, Carson Wentz, there's a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde going on with him, and you, you just don't know which one you're getting, which makes it scary. At 14, I got the Chargers. I dropped them down one spot. Like we talked about, it was a divisional game. It was unpredictable. I'm just going to chalk it up to that. I was really actually looking forward to my expectation was they would win and I would give them a decent jump up the board because I feel like I've kind of been sandbagging them this whole year, but they lost, so this wasn't the week for me to do it, obviously. And then at 15, I got San Francisco. I was really close on this game last week with San Francisco and Minnesota, and I put Minnesota above them in the power rankings last week. I got it wrong. The game was in San Fran. I probably should have put a little bit more weight into that. Either way, it is what it is. So basically, I just flipped these two teams on my board, and it's okay. I'm not like totally thrilled with the way San Fran's been this year, but at 15, it's not like they're like top 10 or anything on my board, so it's okay. Back to you at 16, man.
16, I have Washington. They one spot bump based on the win against Seattle. It was a hard fought win. I think it was a little bit more of a knock on Seattle than Washington being really good. But every time, like Washington's another team. Every time I'm certain I'm gonna drop them, they go out and they win or they look at least decent. And the defense is starting to come together a little bit. I think they had a big defensive play to win the game on 2-point conversion, and so I keep them at 16 for now, even though it feels a little high for them. At 17, I have the Raiders. They beat Dallas. I'm giving more of the credit or more of a blame on Dallas than credit to the Raiders. Raiders bumped up one spot, but it's just it's also because I dropped the Saints a couple spots based on what I'm looking at in New Orleans and how they played last week and how the team's constantly getting injured, and I have New Orleans at 18, which New Orleans is probably going to drop further based on that performance last night. 19, I have the Broncos. They got a 5-spot bump for beating the Chargers. I had the
Nice.
Chargers top 10, and I think the Broncos they look pretty good in that game. Like, I mean, it's like we said, was it last week or the week before when we talked about, like, it was the week after they traded Von Miller and they go out and they have a dominant performance on defense. And
Yep.
so they got the 5-spot bump. And 20, I have the Giants. They got a 1-spot bump. The 1-spot bump for the Giants is more because I dropped the Seahawks down below them than based on the win against Philly of all teams.
Gotcha.
Like, because I mean that game should have been honestly 13-7 is not a respectable win against Philly. As bad as Philly's been playing,
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, Philly has been a boomer bust team this year. And so it just, I don't know. I thought they would have been more boom against the Giants than bust, but you just can't predict it.
Yeah, true. I mean, I thought the Giants would win the game, so I got that. At least I got that one right last week.
Yeah, you got the pick at least. I was on the Philly side, but it's all good either way. All right, so on my side here, I got Minnesota at 16, so kind of covered them when I hit San Fran at 15. At 17, I got the Raiders. I bumped them up 2 spots, and it's tough. I'm tempted to move them above the Vikings. I think when I watch the tape, I like what I see out of Minnesota more, but the Raiders are edging them out with wins right now. And so, if that continues to like diverge, then I probably got to make the flip. At 18, I got Denver. I moved them up 3 spots, and I feel good about having them. I got them leapfrogging Pittsburgh and New Orleans on my board. Um, I'm good with that. They've been streaky this season, but I mean, Pittsburgh and New Orleans are like they're in rough shape. And Denver, as streaky as they've been, you do see these like stretches of good play, and it's like okay, like it's there. It's just they get a little bit off track some weeks. But at 19, I got Pittsburgh, so I dropped them 2 spots. And honestly, it's just shameful football that we're watching out of these guys. It sucks. And so they're lucky it was only 2 spots. At 20, I got the Saints. This is, I mean, just a lot of injuries. It's taken a toll on them, and it is what it is. But, it's like, it's a 2 spot drop, but it's like, keep in mind, it's not like they just had the full stack and played shitty. They're fucking hobbled, man. So it is what it is. Back to you at 21.
21, I got the Seahawks. I kind of covered them with the talking about Washington. Seahawks are kind of Pete Carroll's done there. Like he's either going to retire, or he's going to get fired. Russell Wilson is going to be traded. Like they should have broken it down in this past offseason, and they didn't. And you're seeing what's happening. Will they win? What are they now?
Oh, I think they're like 3 and freaking what? They're 3-8, man.
Yeah, will they win 6 games this year? Probably not.
They're 3-8. I mean, you would think Russ freaking, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Russ and their receivers alone should keep them in so many games, and it's just not happening.
Think about it. They would have to go 500 the rest of the way to get 6 wins this year.
Yeah, I mean they're not 500 now, so
yeah,
it's not looking good.
Let's just for fun. Let's look at their schedule the rest of the way. Can we see 6 games? So we're in week 13.
Yep.
They could no, that can't be right. I don't know. It's going to be rough. I could see them possibly winning 3 or 4 of the games. I mean, San Francisco, Houston, the Rams, the Bears, Detroit, and Arizona.
I could give them 3.
Yeah, I could give them 3, maybe a 4th game, depending.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. Answer my own question. 22, I have the Vikings. I dropped them down 2 spots. I'm just disappointed in the Vikings. I'm just disappointed in them. I don't know what to say. I had hopes for this team, and they just look like shit.
I mean, the problem, we talked about it all year. They just can't close, man.
Mm-hmm. 23, I have the Steelers. Steelers dropped 1 spot after that dismal performance with Cincinnati. I would have dropped them further, but I couldn't put them behind some of the teams I have behind them. And I mean, it could change next week depending on what happens this weekend, but the next like 4 teams I think are at least the next 4 teams are clearly worse than them, even though the next 4 teams, I believe 3 of the 4 won.
Yeah, but we're getting to that. Yeah, we're getting to that kind of
some
section.
But,
yeah.
But at 24, I have the Panthers. I didn't move them, and that's the same thing. I can't. I'm sorry, Panthers dropped down 1 spot, but I couldn't drop them further because of the teams they have. What's happened around them.
Sure.
Look, the Cam Newton experiment is a great experiment. See what he has. Try to breathe some life into the team. It didn't work. It's time to move on. PJ Walker is going to should be the quarterback, and I'm just disappointed in Carolina. So much promise. Plus, they lost McCaffrey for the season. It's time to cut your losses this year and move on. 25, agree. I have the Eagles. Yeah, they lost to the Giants. I thought they played a decent game against the Giants. Yeah, they only scored 7 points, but their defense only allowed 13. So it's like I don't know what to do. Didn't know what to do with the Eagles, so I just left them at 25, and I'll push it to next week, see what happens with the
Sure.
teams behind them.
Yeah,
Or
and it
ahead.
seems like Philly's defense is getting a little bit better, but man, they're boom or bust, man. They're boom or bust. All right, so on my side, I got Washington at 21. I moved them up 2 spots. I like this move on the board, but I am starting to wonder if Miami is better with their recent progression that they've had. And I've got Miami at the next spot at 22, who I moved up 3 spots. And it's tough. It's hard to gauge Miami like last week's win over Carolina. It's like, it was a nice win, but shitty opponent. But it is also like a trend that they're getting it together. And so, um, I like I said, I had Washington, Miami, and I was like really kind of like, I don't know, man, maybe I'm starting to like Miami more, but I want to see a little bit more games play out, and then we can figure it out. 23, I got Philly. I dropped them down 3 spots. We covered them pretty good, man. 24, we got the Giants over here. I moved them up 2 spots. And hey, look, I get it. They just beat Philly, but I don't think it would have been that way if they played the game in Philly. And I still think Philly, because they have that boomer bust potential, they're still, in my opinion, a more dangerous team than the Giants, who just have gotten kind of, in my opinion, just freaking lucky with some of their wins. Because, I just read an article the other day about Kenny Galladay just like not even trying anymore. And
Mm.
this team, it just looks pathetic, man. It's not good. And then at 25, I got Atlanta. 2 spot bump for them. They're kind of like starting to make their climb in this group of shitty teams again. They did it earlier in the year, then they stumbled down, and now they're kind of climbing back up. But either way, we're in that sort of territory where a lot of these teams, there's just not a lot to get excited about. And so, yeah, back to you at 26.
26, I have the Dolphins, and yeah, I have. They say that 26. Yeah, Dolphins and Panthers are close together, but if PJ is it PJ Walker, PJ whatever
Yeah, Walker. Yeah,
Walker, yeah, PJ Walker was playing the whole game against Miami. I think Carolina would have won that game, so I left Miami at 26. 27, I have the Falcons. Yeah, they won. It was the Jaguars. Come on. Uh, 28, I have the Bears. They beat Detroit barely, but the team that was immediately ahead of them lost. So I kind of gave the Bears a bump and flipped to my 28 and 29. 29, I have Houston. They dropped down 1 spot. They lost to, who did they lose
Jets.
to? Jets, who I have right behind them. I think I think you play that game 5 times. Houston wins 3 of them. I think it just happened to be lucky on the Jets to win the game.
Gotcha.
Uh, which comes in at 30. The Jets, yeah, they won. I moved them up 1 spot, more or less because the team I had at 30 last week lost.
Okay. So yeah, on my side here, I got Seattle at 26. I dropped them down 4 spots, and pretty much all I can say is what the fuck. I mean, it just. I was reading that it's the first time in Russ's career that he's lost 4 straight games, and it just sucks. This is horrible football being played in Seattle. And you don't expect that when you have an elite quarterback, James. It's like elite quarterbacks go to shitty teams sometimes and just like light it up. Like look at what Andrew Luck did. Indy was fucking like they won like 1 game or whatever, and then Andrew Luck shows up and they win like fucking 11 games like it's nothing. It's just
Yeah, yeah, but you're saying that, but you also have to look at who was playing quarterback the year before. Like that team broke it down to get the number one pick to
I,
pick.
I know, I know. I'm just saying that, a stud quarterback at least keeps you fucking in the top tier somewhere. But, this is just bad. But either way. Carolina at 27, I moved them down 3 spots. Stick a fork in them, they're done. It was a great start to the year, but we've now seen their true colors. Some of it's injury, some of it's Sam Darnold was a fun experiment for a minute there, but it didn't work. And then same with Cam. It was fun for a week, but it didn't work. And so they need to get a quarterback, whether they're going to trade for one of these guys, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, frickin' Aaron Rodgers, who the heck knows, or if they're going to make a move in the draft. But I'm not hearing a whole lot about a quarterback being really that kind of caliber in the draft this year. So who knows? But at 28, I got Chicago. I moved them up one spot, and I like them better than this next wave of kind of garbage teams on my board. But they did just beat Detroit, which isn't saying much. So, and they barely they barely beat Detroit, man. That was such a shitty game. But at 29, I got the Jets. I moved them up two spots, and it was when I looked at this team, I thought Houston was going to win that game. And after the Jets won, I thought, man, the Jets do have two surprise upset wins on big teams from earlier in the year. And now they got the win on Houston. And I'm just like, okay, I talked about Philly with that boomer bust. The Jets have like a little bit of a flair of that, where it's just like some weeks they just fucking play great football, man. I don't know what it is, but and so I thought, okay, because of that, I'm just going to give them a little bump here. And then I dropped Jacksonville two spots, so I got them at 30. The big thing with Jacksonville to me is that I'm starting to get concerned with the lack of progression. We knew coming in, okay, you got Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterback on a bad team, but we talked about some things. Offensive line's actually decent. They got the running game. They got a number of wide receivers that have all kind of shown potential in the past. And then it's like even on defense, there's like a couple guys here and a couple guys there. And it's like the team has some talent, in new coach, new everything. I just would have expected them to get better as the season went on, and it's not happening. It's like they're just sitting stale. And so that's a concern. And then, of course, you had the Urban Meyer rumors like, oh, is he going to jump ship for any freaking job that opens up in college? But, who knows, man? Who knows? But Jacksonville, they're down too. So back to you with the dumpster fire, James.
All right. So, number 31, I already forgot. The Jaguars. I dropped them down one spot and to 31 because of the loss. And the 32nd team that is still can mathematically make the playoffs is the Detroit Lions. I'm going to run through a list of things. Have you heard this list?
No, I have not. But
All
I'm
right.
interested, even though I know it's garbage. But give it to me.
Here are the 45 things the Lions need to happen for them to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Number one has already happened. Cowboys beat the Saints. Lions have to beat the Vikings. Dolphins have to beat the Giants. Buccaneers have to beat the Falcons. Jets have to beat the Eagles. Cardinals have to beat the Bears. Raiders have to beat Washington. Seahawks have to beat the 49ers. Next week, the Lions have to beat the Broncos. Steelers have to beat the Vikings. Cowboys have to beat Washington. Texans have to beat the Seahawks. Jets beat the Saints. Falcons beat the Panthers. Chargers beat the Giants. Bengals beat the 49ers. Packers beat the Bears. Week 15, Lions beat the Cardinals. Eagles beat Washington. Cowboys beat Giants. Bills beat Panthers. Falcons beat 49ers. Rams beat Seahawks. Buccaneers beat Saints. Bears beat Vikings. Week 16, Lions beat the Falcons. Rams beat the Vikings. Giants beat the Eagles. Buccaneers beat the Panthers. Cowboys beat Washington. Seahawks beat the Bears. Dolphins beat the Saints. Titans beat the 49ers. Week 17, Lions beat the Seahawks. Saints beat the Panthers. Bears beat the Giants. Washington beats the Eagles. Packers beat the Vikings. Texans beat the 49ers. Week 18, Lions beat the Packers. Falcons beat the Saints. Giants beat Washington. Cowboys beat the Eagles. Vikings beat the Bears. And the Rams beat the 49ers.
And so what's like the chance of that happening? Like 1 out of 28 billion, or like what? Like come on.
All right. So if you were just this week, just for this week, week 13, if you were to place a $100 bet on all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on 18 parlay with all those outcomes, you would win $15,517.
just for this week.
So it's at 1,500 to 1.
And you got to do that every week from here on out.
Yeah, well, like if you look at it, I think it was week 16. There's 8 things that need to happen, and six of those teams they need to win will probably be favorites.
Okay. Dude. I don't know who put that together, but they were a diehard Lions fan.
It was John Breach of CBS.
Okay.
His whole point was that all 32 teams
Still have a shot.
Still have a shot at the playoffs mathematically.
And so you know what? To that point, James, let me just say this. This is my concern with those extra playoff spots, and it's my concern with the extra game. And, we talked about it when they made these changes that, a lot of people were excited, and that's cool. And I felt like the old fuddy-duddy because I was shaking the stick like, hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We had a good thing going. Now you're kind of messing it up. And it's like, if the Lions made the playoffs after starting 0-10-1, it would really make me look at the league and be like, we fucked something up for that kind of a scenario to exist. Like it just, I don't know, dude. I don't know, but it won't happen. At least not this year. So it's not going to be an issue for me. I just I don't like it that we're going into week 13 and you're saying anybody still has a chance. Like that to me is like, no, that's not cool. But it's okay. It is what it is.
Oh no, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
That was my whole point. It's like,
so you're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess I'm looking at the bigger picture and I don't like it. I don't like that there could be a chance, but that's all right. All right, so for my dumpster fire, I got Houston at 31. I think it's clear to me now that early season magic we were getting out of Tyrod Taylor was just a flash in the pan. He's played like normal Tyrod Taylor ever since then, which is not good enough to get the win. And then I got Detroit at 32. They didn't move at all. They should have won that game against Chicago. It's a damn shame they didn't. But, we've come to expect that kind of disappointment from this team over the last fucking million years. So it's okay. And that rounds it out for me, man. So why don't we kick it over? Let's do our week 13 game picks. And just our quick recap on the picks season to date. James, you're sitting at 97 wins, which is good for 54%. And I am sitting at 106 wins, which is good for 59%. I am still using my power rankings almost exclusively for making my picks. And obviously that is the bad choice because I was like 60 fucking 6 or 67% last year when I was using the model. But I'm going to kind of ride it out now at this point. And next year I'll be fucking making a model, I'll tell you that. So, yeah. Thursday, last night, Dallas at New Orleans. We both had Dallas. It's good, man. We're back on winning those Thursday night matchups.
Hey, I didn't do too bad on Thanksgiving either, so.
No, that's right. You had 2 out of 3. I had 1 out of 3. So, yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, and so the story of last night, Taysom Hill had the 4 picks. Not a good look. And then I saw something today about like Zeke taking some heat and kind of like trying to say he's not going to use his knee as an excuse for his play. And I don't know, man. I mean, you've been talking about it a bit here and there with Tony Pollard, looking like he's got a little bit more juice. And I don't know what you do with that situation, man. But, it seems like Zeke's been under the freaking microscope a lot this year.
Yeah, well, Tony Pollard clearly this year is the better option at running back. Tony Pollard's having a better year. Zeke is visibly limping. I mean, he's practically limping when he's running. They need to sit his ass down and let him recover a little bit for that playoff push.
That's a good point. They're likely, highly likely, to be in the playoffs. With Tony Pollard playing as well as he is, what the hell are they doing with Zeke, man? I didn't even think about it that way.
I don't know.
All right, well, hey, whatever. It's Jerry Jones, and who knows what the hell's going on there. But looking at this weekend, we got the New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. Who do you like there, man?
So I told you I was going back and forth on this game, but with Daniel Jones being out and Mike Glennon starting, like that makes me really, really, really want to pick the Giants because how often do you see it that the backup quarterback comes in, there's not that tape on
Oh,
what they do with him, and the backup quarterback wins the game. I mean Mike White, um, Colt McCoy, but then he kind of continued it. Trevor Simeon, his first game that he was starting. Uh, so I I really like all that tells me to pick the Giants, but I can't pick the Giants to win the game. The Miami's playing that much better. I mean, Tua the last 2 weeks he's completed at least 80% of his passes. Um, he's and Miami's 5-1. Miami's the betting favorite, and that's that's kind of a wash. Is Miami's 5-1 against the spread at home under Flores, and but New York is I'm sorry as a home favorite under Flores, but the Giants are 9-3 against the spread as a road underdog under Judge, and I mean the spread's like less than a touchdown, so I just have to go with my gut on it and pick Miami, even though I want to find a
yeah.
reason to pick the Giants.
Yeah, don't pick the Giants. I mean, you do what you want to do, but I wouldn't take the Giants. Mike Glennon, I just looked it up. He's 7-28 in his career. But like I said, I was impressed. He's still been kicking it. You know, he's been in the league. This is like his ninth season now, so it's pretty good. But um, and I'm sure he's gotten better with time. I got to go with Miami, dude. Their defense has been firing on all cylinders lately, and I just don't trust the Giants. Even if Glennon comes in and makes some surprise plays, I just think there's too much shittiness going on with that Giants team that in any given week you just can't rely on them. And so that's my pick. Next up, we got Indianapolis at Houston.
So this was a late switch for me as I started diving into the game, and it's it's more of a gut feel that the way Indy's playing and the way Reich's been calling the plays or whoever the play caller is there, I just assume it's Reich because he's the only coach I know the name of on the team. There's I don't like Indy and how it's been going. And an interesting stat I found is Indy's what 6-6 this year.
I believe so, yeah.
So when Carson Wentz throws an interception, they are 1-5.
Hmm.
When he doesn't throw an interception, they are 5-1.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting that it literally it breaks down to Carson Wentz, even though clearly Jonathan Taylor is
Yeah.
the point of that offense.
So it's like, hey, call Alex Smith back up, get him back in the league. You need a guy that's efficient with the ball. Let the defense and the running game do the rest.
Exactly. But so I ended up falling on Houston
Okay.
in the game.
So I'm going Indy, and it's a divisional game. We talked about it with the Chargers and the Broncos, with their game last week. Anything can happen in those kind of games. And it's in Houston, so something similar could happen, just like Denver got that win at home. But I think Indy has it. If they lose, I'm going to have to reevaluate things with them in a major way. But I will say this: this was like a key piece of the matchup is that Houston's run defense sucks. They're like one of the bottom three teams, I believe. And
I
then you
believe
got Jonathan
at the bottom.
Taylor. What's that?
I believe they're at the bottom.
Okay,
Thir-
maybe
31st, sorry.
31st. Okay,
100, 135.6 rushing yards allowed per game.
yeah, and with Jonathan Taylor having the tear that he's had, I just think that that's such a favorable matchup. Indy just has to be smart in this one, and they should take it. But we'll see.
You want to throw another set out there?
Yeah,
When do you think T.Y. Hilton's last 100-yard receiving game was?
2017.
No, last year against the Texans.
I don't know, dude. I just think T.Y. Hilton's like not even relevant. But
I just some random stats that
yeah,
I come across as I'm looking at the matchup is like,
yeah.
huh.
I mean, hey, he had a 100-yard receiving game last year, so he's been at least relevant in more recent memory than I give him credit for. But that's okay.
But it was against the Texans last year, so
Yeah.
that's just why it was relevant.
And I guess let's just pause for a second, okay, and talk about that because I think that with Indy, one of their priorities this offseason has got to be getting them a true number one at wide receiver. And I think Pittman is developing well, and maybe he becomes that guy. But whether he does or doesn't, I would double down on getting Wentz a legit number one. And I would even look hard at getting him an upgrade at tight end. I like Jack Doyle, but I think that they could do better. And Jack Doyle, he's been hurt a lot this year too, banged up. It's like those were things that he had in Philly that played into his favor. He connected a lot with Ertz, and then for a while he had Goddard as well. I don't know. I just think get him some weapons, man. Like it's kind of like he doesn't have the greatest receiving weapons right now, and so not that I'm like trying to make the case that he's like this great quarterback because the great ones don't need the wide receivers like that. But what I'm saying is he's not a great quarterback like that, and so you need to get him a little bit more help. That's all it is. All right, that's my tangent. You're not digging it. So let's move on. Minnesota at Detroit. Who do you like, James?
Well, the Lions playoff hopes die this week because of those 45 things. The first and most important thing was they had to beat the Vikings, which won't happen.
I agree with you. I was sad to see that Detroit has lost 8 straight to Minnesota. It'll be 9 after this one. And honestly, I think Minnesota's desperate to get a win right now. So like I don't even think this is going to be a close game. I think Minnesota's going to put a hurt on us, man.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Philly at the New York Jets.
Who did I pick in this game? All
I
right.
think you went with the Jets here, man.
I did go with the Jets in this game, and basically this is kind of like just like a gut feel thing, like it, with Hurts, with Minshew starting, and I'm down on Minshew. I don't like Minshew. I don't think he's a yeah. I know you love the mustache. I get it. Um,
I would fucking trade for Minshew if I'm Detroit, but
yeah.
that's it.
So apparently there's interesting fact I found in this game is yet another time the Jets are not the favorite team, and the Jets and the Lions are the only two teams not to be listed as the betting favorite this season.
Wow. I'm kind of upset that it's not just the Lions. Like it's like I want the Lions to have all like those worst like record kind of things. But
Yeah. So I just have concerns with the Hurts injury and Minshew possibly playing.
okay. So you're going with the Jets. I'm going Philly. And I'm going to tell you what, man, I read this on NFL.com, thought it was pretty cool. Philly is 11-0 all time against the Jets, which just blows my mind. It just seems like in today's day and age, a team to be totally on top of another team like that just seems like how could that happen in the NFL? But I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm going Philly. Next up, we got Arizona at Chicago.
You know how I hate the Bears. I love the Bears. I'm looking for my notes, and where the hell are they?
Yeah, I mean, while you're looking, I'll tell you this. I'm going Arizona with or without Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. I think Chicago barely beat Detroit last week, so come on. I mean, the the Cardinals are winning with Colt McCoy. They're sitting at 9-2. Chicago is like just squeaking their way through the season. I don't know. I mean, they got Andy Dalton starting, and maybe that brings some stability because um, Justin Fields is the future for sure, but it's going to be a little bit of a rocky road until he's really ready to take the reins. Dalton does have the experience, maybe a little bit more stable for now. I still think Arizona wins this game, no problem.
Yeah, okay. My thing was with the injuries on defense, the Bears being 0-3 outright as home underdogs this year. I'm sorry, 0-3 against the spread as home underdogs this year. It's looking slim that slim chances Chicago even is in this game. Probably 17 to 20 point win by Arizona.
Okay.
Even with who's it, Colt McCoy?
Yeah.
Is that who it is still? Playing quarterback.
Sweet, sweet. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Bengals. And dare I say, game of the week, James?
No, you shouldn't say game of the week.
No? I'm
No,
excited for this game, dude.
I'm excited for this game. I'm excited for the Burrow Herbert matchup. I just don't think this was close to the game of the week. It's very close.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a close game. I like how Cincinnati is playing more recently than I have than the Chargers have been playing, and so I'm going to go with the Bengals in the game.
Okay. So I'm going Bengals as well. I've got Cincy just a little higher on my board, and they're at home, so I'm giving them the edge. I think you can make the case either way with these teams. Um, Back to the game of the week. What are you thinking? New England, Buffalo?
Yeah, New England Buffalo.
You son of a bitch. There's a lot at stake in that game, and so I guess I get that. Maybe I got a little excited here with the quarterback matchup, but whatever. Next up, we got Tampa Bay at Atlanta.
So I have an interesting fact about this game. I'm going with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is clearly the better team. If Brady throws 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in this game, his career TD to interception ratio will be 28-3. Do you know the significance of 28-3?
Yeah, that was the score in the Super Bowl when they made
Yes.
that comeback. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, man! So you think he's going to throw four TDs in this game?
It would be perfect if he did. I don't think
Where do you even get that stat from?
I listen to a lot of sports radio.
All right. Oh my gosh, I love it. There's some junkies out there that they got more time on their hands than we do, and that's good.
Yeah, it was some research guy that gave it to from CBS that gave it to one of the sports radio talk show hosts I listened to. I just thought it was funny.
All right, so you're going Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay.
Yeah, same here. Even though Tampa Bay's been a little bit streaky on the road, they did get a road win just last week. And, Atlanta's way too far down on my board to call an upset here. I don't even care that it's in Atlanta. They're still without Ridley. They got, stuff going on. So I Tampa Bay, no problem here. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Rams.
So from what I've seen, the last time the Jaguars were double-digit underdogs was the Buffalo game. And they won. There's no way in hell And
Does
that's
lightning strike twice?
well, what gives me pause on this game is, again, like normal, Stafford's dealing with a lot of injuries. Stafford's playing like the Lions version of Stafford recently. He's he's had thrown a pick six in his last 3 games, and that's how Jacksonville beat the Bills, was dominant defensive performance, interceptions by Josh Allen. Um, I think there's also, if let me I want to double check this. This feels like it could be a little bit of a trap game for the Rams based on,
Okay.
yeah, because they're playing Arizona on Monday night next week. And like, I'm so like, if Jacksonville just was not so bad, I could see an upset in this game. But Jacksonville is just so bad that I can't bring myself to pick them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Yeah, it'd be a bold pick. I'm going the Rams as well. I feel like it's a bye week for the Rams, and the only way Jacksonville has a chance to win is if the Rams actually treat it like a bye week, which, like you're saying, Stafford's hurt. Maybe they do go in and they play it soft to try and. I don't know that I don't see them benching Stafford to rest him, but it's like if you were ever going to do something like that, this would be the week to do it. But they're not going to do it. They're going to try to win, um, and that's okay. But they should win. They they should win. um, and it's in Los Angeles, man. You know how bad it would be if they lost to the fucking Jags in Los Angeles. But hey, any given Sunday, right?
So if
Uh,
if they were to bench Stafford, they would have to play either John Wolford
oh yeah, go with Walford. I like him.
or Bryce Perkins.
Yeah, I go Walford all the way.
So
Uh, all right. So next up, we got the Washington football team at the Las Vegas Raiders. Who do you like there, man?
so this game annoys the hell out of me. The league did absolutely no favors to the Washington football team for this game. They just played on Monday night. Now they have to go on the road to the West Coast, or to
Mm,
the West Coast, to play a team that played on Thanksgiving, so it's been 10 days. So there's 4 days rest difference between the two teams. I just think that Washington is just that much, just enough better. They're playing it just a little bit better than the Raiders right now, and they can overcome that. And I mean, it's the Jack Del Rio revenge game. So
oh, okay.
I'm going to go with Washington.
Well, I like that. You teed it up that it was going to go the other way, and then you ended up sticking with Washington. But I'm going with the Raiders. I was just reading that Derek Carr's back on top in terms of passing yards, which just still blows my freaking mind. But he's having a phenomenal year. Washington's defense, they have shown up on occasion, but more times than not, they've been a disappointment this season. And, honestly, I'm not like a big fan of either of these teams this year, but between the two of them and with it being in Vegas, and I actually, your comment just kind of adds to my case here. I'm going with the Raiders here. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Steelers.
The Steelers are just all right. The only way the Steelers win this game is if they find a quarterback.
Maybe
They
they
don't.
need to trade for Minshew.
They don't have a quarterback on their roster. I think Lamar Jackson's going to come out because he's been hearing all week how he threw 4 picks. I like the fact that the Ravens defense Ravens have been not their defense, sorry. The Ravens have been throwing the ball more and focusing more on the pass game. I mean, they had to because of the running back injuries. But I also feel like there was a bunch, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there was a bunch of Steelers out in
Okay,
this game, which makes things even worse.
I think you're right. I think they
Yeah,
do have a handful of injuries.
Spillane, Haig, Watt, Hayden, Bug. Like, I mean, like half their defense is out. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
Okay. I'm going Baltimore as well. I kind of looked at the records first, and I'm like, yep, Baltimore 8-3, Pitt's 5-1. You know, Baltimore's just playing good football and they're winning games. Uh, Pittsburgh, they're playing piss poor football, and I'm actually kind of amazed that they're still sitting at 500 with how bad they've played this year. And so, even though it's in Pittsburgh, I feel pretty comfortable about Baltimore winning this game. Next up, we got San Francisco at Seattle.
I'm going with the 49ers in this game. And the thing I found interesting, Jimmy Garoppolo in his career has never lost as a road favorite.
Okay.
He's 9-0.
Huh.
But I'm on San Francisco. San Francisco is clearly the better team. Seattle is declining rapidly, and
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with San Fran. Um, the one thing I read for Seattle was that they're 13 out of their last 15 against San Francisco, which obviously is pretty impressive. But you got to look at where they're at today, man. And Seattle is just they're in a tailspin. And honestly, like we talk about this being the end of the Pete Carroll era in Seattle, I think if they lose to San Francisco this weekend, this could be the nail in that coffin. Even though they might wait until the end of the year and give him the chance to retire to kind of save some face, or maybe they give him to the end of the year and then they fire him. I don't think they would do anything mid-season because there's some legacy stuff there, but it's in Seattle and it's against a divisional opponent and they're only at 3 wins. It's like this is like the writing's on the wall, man. You got to win this one or it's like over, dude. And so, but even though their back's up against the wall, I think San Francisco's the better team. And they've both kind of been a disappointment this year, in my opinion. But Seattle's been a major disappointment. And so it just sucks. So I'm going San Fran. Next up, we got Denver at Kansas City.
so Kansas City has won their last 11 games against the Broncos.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
last
man.
the last four have been by more than 20 points. And they're going to make it 12 in a row this week. It's just and they had early leads of at least 7 points in all four games and didn't trail in the past three.
Oh, man. Yeah, I like that. Go for the dirty dozen, man. No, I think Denver, hey, they had a great win last week, but the difference is this one's now on the road. Kansas City's coming off a bye. Kansas City's been on a tear lately. I like that. I think, they get their 12 straight. I'm going Kansas City as well.
Oh, and in primetime games, Patrick Mahomes is averaging 2.5 touchdowns. He has
Okay.
48 touchdowns in his 19 primetime games he's played.
Jeez. Son of a biscuit. Okay, next up, we got the Patriots at the Bills. The game of the week for you, James. Who do you like here?
So I went back and forth on this game. I think if you look at it, I'm still going back and forth in my head on it. Like it's like in one. What concerns me about the game and what is making me lean on New England is Tre'Davious White being out. If Tre'Davious White wasn't injured, I probably would have stuck with my original pick I sent you, which was the Bills. But the Jacksonville game, Allen struggled to not turn over the ball, and in the last 7 weeks, since week 5, New England has forced 20 turnovers. And I just think I think the Tre'Davious White injury tilts the scale in the New England in New England's favor.
It's a factor, man. I hear you on that. I'm going Buffalo, and it's not with a lot of confidence, honestly, but I'm going with Buffalo nonetheless. I think, obviously they started the year hot, like way ahead of New England, and the tables have turned dramatically. Buffalo knows they need to win this one, or they risk losing the top spot in the division. And because, I mean, New England's like not looking back at this point. They
Mhm.
got to get them here and they got to change that trajectory. And with it being in Buffalo, I think they have the chance to do that. I think McDermott will be good at kind of like keeping them focused on, hey guys, we got to nail this one. It's got to be a flawless game. No fuck ups. We're going to make it happen. But the flip side is, Belichick's great at taking away their top dog. And the top dog in this case is Josh Allen. If he can slow him down, man, I don't know. You're right. This is the game of the week. Like, it's not a question. This is definitely the game of the week. And I mean, I'm picking Buffalo. I think I want New England to win just because I like everything they've done this year. But I'm going Buffalo, and it's like I said, it's like not with a lot of confidence. I just had to pick a team. So last game is looking forward to next Thursday. We got Pittsburgh at Minnesota. Who do you like there, man?
What a shitty game for a Thursday night game. Seriously,
Yes,
two
yes, yes,
pretty
yes.
pretty shitty bottom tier teams that are gonna be playing. Um, I think the cure for not being able to close a game out is playing a quarterback that can't throw the ball downfield, and so I'm gonna go with Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean Minnesota's getting them at home too, which is nice. If you need help closing out, it helps when you do it at home. I think these two teams, James, are kind of similar in terms of the dysfunction they've had this year. But I'm giving the edge to Minnesota because when I watch their tape, I feel like they're fighting harder, they're playing better ball, they just can't close the games. The dysfunction in Pittsburgh, it's, first of all, when the quarterback is bad like that, it's hard to make up for it. But then you talk about the injuries. I don't know, dude. This is not a normal Pittsburgh Steelers team. Minnesota, I think, is closer to being a normal team right now. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going Minnesota. Okay, and that's our picks of the week here. So let's just keep it on moving. We'll kick it over to question of the week, James. And so I think that this is obvious, okay? And it's a ways away, but the Lions, let's just be real. They're going to have the number one pick in the draft unless some crazy shit happens. Um, and I was just reading an article earlier today. I believe it was a Bucky Brooks thing talking about Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end from U of M, possibly being the number one pick in the draft this year. And so my question of the week is, do you think something like that will happen, or will the Lions reach for a quarterback? And I guess, what I'm saying is, will they go after the best value, whether it be a defensive end or whatever, or do you think they stretch and they grab a quarterback? And most people are saying there's not that clear cut top quarterback in this draft class. And a lot of people are saying there's really not even one that they're grading out being a top 15 pick. And so it would be a stretch. Now, obviously, as the draft gets closer, that all changes because there's always a run on quarterbacks as we get closer to the draft. It just seems like this is a year where it's like, wow, if you got the number one pick, that kind of makes it tricky. And so if I'm the Lions, I have seen like Walter Football. They got Kayvon Thibodeau, the defensive end outside linebacker from Oregon. They got him as the number one pick. Bucky Brooks now has a defensive end as the number one pick. I'm just not seeing a quarterback to warrant it. My opinion is you take the best value. You don't reach. The dream scenario for me is that they trade out of the pick and they just fucking load up for future years, and maybe you still get one or two guys in the first round because we know they got that other first round pick, and everything for the Lions is about the future. So don't reach and risk setting yourself back by getting a quarterback that's a dud. If you got to wait and roll one more year with Goff, hey, it's going to be ugly, but I'm expecting it to be ugly again next year anyhow. So, what will they do? I don't know, man. What do you think?
They better fucking not pick a quarterback. I swear, I swear, if they pick a goddamn fucking quarterback, I'll be so pissed off.
So you're
Um,
seeing the same thing, that there's just not a quarterback worthy of number one.
there's not a quarterback that's worthy of a first round pick currently.
Yeah, like, do you think there could be a Mac Jones type guy that shows up where it's like, a lot of people had him graded second round or later, but then, after you look at all the tape and the intelligence and the interviews, you're kind of like, yeah, maybe he could be something. But even then, Mac Jones wasn't the top pick. So I'm just trying to think, like, what do you do? Because you would be reaching for like potentially a Mac Jones in that scenario, and I just think it's too fucking risky, man.
I don't think so. I don't like
Yeah, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
no, there's like I don't know which one I would like more between Hutchinson and Thibodeau. Um,
I'd probably go the Oregon guy. I know Hutchinson's been rising on the board this year. Um, I don't know. I just am always hesitant to take guys out of U of M. You
yeah,
know?
no, I hear you. I hear you on that. I think Hutchinson is a better currently, but I think the ceiling for Thibodeau is higher. So I would like that. But like, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe trade out of the pick and maybe reach for a quarterback at 23.
If you really feel like you got to get one this year, it seems like that's the way to do it. But even then, man, I'm more inclined to say, hey, trade out of the pick and load up on wide receivers, man. Get like at least one or two. Like I don't know. Like here's my thing: the Lions need, if they're gonna roll with Goff, you got to get them weapons because our receivers suck, man. They're the worst in the league, and so. I think you double down on wide receivers, and it doesn't have to be doubling down in the draft, but there's got to be at least one high pick on a wide receiver, and then go out and get one guy in free agency paying a premium for him so that you're saying, hey, we're totally revamping that room. Goff, now you got some weapons. We know the run game's there. That actually makes the offense, I think, legit for next year. And then next year, if you got to package some picks and move up a little bit on the board, that's when you go and get your quarterback, man.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. I don't like any of the quarterbacks. I
No,
don't like a single one of them as a first round pick.
no. Yeah, I mean, it's like last year at this time, everybody knew it was Trevor Lawrence. I mean, freaking, 2, 3 years ago, everybody knew it was Trevor Lawrence. And
Oh,
it's like,
shit, in 2016 you knew the 2021 first round pick was going to be Trevor Lawrence.
that's all I'm saying is that, if you don't have that and you got the number one pick, it sucks for you, but don't go reaching for a guy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't be the Giants and reach for Daniel Jones because you fell in love with his play at the Senior Bowl
Yeah.
when he only started like 7 games at was it
Is it
North Carolina
fucking
or Duke or
Duke?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a
Or
ballsy pick, man.
it was, and what the fuck happened? Oh, wait, you could have picked somebody else there because he would have been. You had like the 15th pick, and he would have still been there at 15 because nobody even had him
Yeah.
on their board as a second rounder.
Yeah, he would have been a second round pick for sure. But that's okay. So yeah, the Lions, don't do it. Brad Holmes, don't do it, buddy. Come on, man. Be smart. And I'm
But
sure you are.
I do trust Brad Holmes. Like
Yeah.
everything I read about Brad Holmes is he's a great talent evaluator, and like look at the Rams drafts, and from what I'm reading, he was heavily involved in determining who the Rams picked and making the suggestions of who they picked. And look at their picks while he was there. They did pretty damn good with them.
Yeah. No, I got you. And yeah, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But all right. So, you know, for anybody who's watching, hit us up. Similar to Name That Stadium. Answer question of the week. Give us your opinion. We want to hear it. And so, James, that's all I got for tonight, man. You got any closing thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I think that's all I had.
Okie dokie. Well, hey, yeah. So for people still watching, we hope you liked it. If you did, give us that thumbs up, hit us a like, and if you really like us, hit subscribe. We do this shit every week, man. This is our thing. We have a lot of fun with it. And so, James, like always, man, I enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good night, dude.
You too.
All right, see ya.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.